Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Now come on in. Now come. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm weird. Whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue. So let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video, right?
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue and I am back for another 911 review, you guys. All right, we finally get to the bottom of Buck. And what the hell is going on in Maddie and Buck's family? What is going on with your parents? What does it mean that they are not bad people but bad parents? What does it mean that you have a dead brother named Daniel? We found that out at the end of last week's episode. So yes, let's go ahead and get into my notes. This episode was very entertaining. So the episode starts off with a teenage Maddie teaching a young Buck, okay, probably around like 10, how to ride a bike. And when he falls, their parents come running outside and the mom is so upset that they use this bike that obviously was Daniel's old bike. Why would you use that? Oh my God, you know. Flipping out, doesn't even tend to her son's wounds. So Maddie pretty much plays the mother role to Buck. When Buck got hurt, he realized that every time he got hurt, Maddie and his father would pay him attention in some type of way. So we see throughout the episode, he's constantly going to be daredevil, damn near dying, because that is the only way he's been able to get attention and some type of affection from the people in his family, which really makes me upset. We're going to press on. So Maddie explained to Buck that their brother Daniel died of juvenile leukemia. So basically, they had Buck so that they can use the stem cells from the umbilical cord to help with Daniel's bone marrow transplant. Like, it's something like that, because you can't have a bone marrow transplant from a baby. So it had to be from the stem cells from the umbilical cord. They basically only had Buck to save Daniel's life. He was a match. The cells and stems grafted, but he relapsed and Daniel ended up dying anyway. And they basically completely tapped out on Maddie and Buck and left them to fend for themselves. And that's the result that we're looking at now. Buck being somebody that was never really shown love or attention or affection and was literally only brought into this world to save someone who he never even knew about. Like, I'm so upset with the parents because I feel like, you know, them telling Maddie they did the best they could. I should smack you in the fucking face. I don't even mean to curse this early in the video, y'all. I don't. But it really upset me that not only did you have him, not because you wanted him or because you loved him, but after the fact, you kept it from him about why he was being treated this way. Like, he has no idea why you don't love him or show up for him. And it's because you see him as a constant reminder of the son that you lost. Meanwhile, you gained one that you show no love or affection towards. It made me upset, especially now as adults, as grown people. The mama is still in the same head and emotional space, obviously very frantic and only keeping it together because of the dad. And the dad is barely keeping his shit together, but has to keep it together for his wife and trying to give to the kids a little bit, but has his own grief and trying to make sure that they keep everything in a little neat box so his wife doesn't lose her shit. Meanwhile, totally ignoring his kids and being neglectful, being very, very neglectful. And it just really upset me to watch them talk to Maddie as if she was wrong for saying something. As if she was wrong because she no longer could carry the weight of lying about somebody's entire existence. Why did y'all think that was going to work? Why did y'all think that was going to help anybody for y'all to walk around for the last 30 years acting like that man, that little boy never existed? Like, tell me how you thought that was going to help. That does not help anybody get over death, is to act like the person never existed. That does not work. I don't know where you read that at. I don't know why that was the response as educated middle upper class white people. Why that was the way y'all decided to handle this situation in the 90s. Y'all could have been going to family therapy and working this situation out. But instead, you literally closed yourself off to your kids and took care of them as far as the physical, but the emotional and mental left them starving to the point where Buck is trying to kill himself for attention because, I mean, obviously in turmoil of constantly not feeling good or feeling love and all of that without having to be physically hurt. And then we got Maddie over here that's so thirsty for love and attention that when she gets a boyfriend in high school that's controlling her, she's just happy to have somebody that's that interested in her because her parents aren't. Child, the episode of Family Matters came on yesterday. And it was the episode where Laura is complaining to Maxine about how she'll never get over how her mom embarrassed her because she came to the slumber party and disrupted everything in her bathrobe and embarrassed her. And Maxine blew up on Laura because she was like, do you realize I got home at 3 a.m. and not nobody gave a damn about where I was or what time I was coming home? You should be happy that they care for you enough to worry about where you were and what you're doing, because I would trade places with you in a minute. And I said we never tapped on that exactly, but obviously Maxine's parents were also very neglectful, like Steve's parents. Like, it was a happy show, so they weren't really focusing on the reason why some of these kids were always around, and it's because they had shitty parents. Okay, and I'm sorry, but Maddie and Evan's parents, the Buckleys, are shitty parents. Period. Point to the damn blank. Okay? So adult Buck now realizes what's going on. So he talks to Eddie, Bobby, and Hen about this terrible childhood in which he was only born to save somebody that he couldn't even save. And he also feels bad for his parents. Like, he doesn't really want to talk to them because he understands that it must be so terrible for them to not have been able to save their son. Chimney comes in. Chimney knows, obviously him and Buck need to talk, but Buck said they don't need to talk in private. Everybody know what the hell going on now. And he wants him to talk to Maddie because Maddie is having a really hard time with Buck being upset with her about this. And he's like, no, I know my sister forced you to lie to me. I know she, put you in a tough spot. She does that to people. So now he holding a grudge against Maddie because they were supposed to be the two of them against the world. And now he's finding out that her and the parents were keeping something from him. He feels betrayed, which is understandable at the end of the day. So we go back to them being kids, and Maddie is checking in with Doug's crazy ass, and she thinks that he loves her, but it's because he gives her attention. Like I said, she's not getting it home. Where are you? What are you doing? Are you going to be home at night? Like crazy shit like that. Nigga, I don't live with you. Why are you asking me if I'm going to be home for dinner? Like, that's crazy when you think about it. And Buck is a teenager. He's about to start high school. And she brings him to their old house that he didn't even remember that they lived at, because I don't think he was there when they lived there. Or maybe he was just really small. But either way, she tells him that she's leaving with Doug. Doug got accepted into a medical school, and eventually she's going to be leaving to go with him. This was not a good decision for a multitude of reasons. But because her parents did not want her to be with him, it made her want to be with him even more. Buck didn't really like him either, but he knew that it was best to be supportive than to be someone who caused, more issue or even was on the same side with the parents. They just didn't really want to be on the same side with their parents, right or wrong. So the team ends up going into a huge hand sanitizer factory fire. Okay, let's put that into consideration. Y'all know hand sanitizer is highly flammable because of the alcohol content. Okay, so yes, it may kill germs, but it will also set your ass ablaze. So when they're going into this fire, we get a flashback of Maddie's parents finding out that she's going to leave with Doug. Doug called, and they like, Doug called. I'm like, Doug, what did you call and tell the parents y'all were leaving together for before she was ready? What the hell? It just seems like he's always trying to upset her life in some way. She should have known at that point. But I guess, like I said, when you got two parents that don't give a shit and you got a boyfriend that you feel like cares so much, it feels like love instead of like somebody trying to control you. Their mom really didn't like Evan, and you can tell because of the way she talks to him, you know, "Oh, sounds so stupid, Evan," you know, says something like that to him. And Maddie was like, don't talk to him like that. Once again, playing the mother position in his life by being more protective of him than his own mother. Then we see him on his motorcycle, okay? It went from him being on his bike as like a early teenager to him being on his motorcycle as a young adult. And he ran into a damn car. I was like, did he really like look at the car and was like, I'm about to run into this car, and ran into the car? I was like, yeah, he had a death wish for sure. So even though he went to a separate hospital, he shows up at Maddie's hospital to ask her for help because he spent all his tuition money on said motorcycle. So now he's not in school and he can't go back home and deal with his parents anymore because he's constantly disappointing them and he's exhausted with the energy of it all. So he asked Maddie to let him stay with she and Doug. At this point, Maddie is getting her ass beat by Doug on the daily, and she doesn't want her brother involved, and she knows her brother will try to save her. And Doug has threatened to kill her. It's a whole bunch of shit going on. So bottom line, he can't be at her house. She promises him that they'll figure something out. After his mom takes her grief out on Evan once again, you know, you're gonna end up getting hurt, I can't do it again, you know, going off once again out of fear that something's gonna happen to Evan. It's like, why do you even like care at this point? Like, why do you care, ma'am? Because it's not like you've been there for him in any other capacity than to come out of the house or out of a room, scream, cry, and then run off. That it seems that's all she does as it pertains to Evan. Maddie gives Evan her Jeep and some money and convinces him that he should just go ahead and take it and leave. And he says, you should leave with me. I know you're not happy with Doug. We should just leave together. So they agree that that's what they'll do. When Buck comes back to her job at the hospital the next day to get her, she has a letter saying that she can't leave with him. She just had a momentary lapse of judgment, but he needs to go and live his life. And he was pissed. He was pissed at her because he felt once again like she was leaving him to fend for himself, which is pretty much what he's felt his whole life. So he travels the states, job to job, state to state. He sends postcards back to Maddie, just showcasing how his life has been until finally he ends up in California at the 118th. When we come back to the factory fire in present time, Buck is running from one side of this large, confusing factory to the other side to help the other team who have lost 2 firefighters. He finds a victim along the way, but they end up getting lost and trapped in all of the fire. Then, when they try to climb these stairs and go above the fire, something ends up blowing up and this huge tank lands on the victim, who actually was taking all of this quite nicely. Like, he didn't really scream. He was just like, oh, this is a weird chain of events. Like, he was just rather calm about almost dying several times, okay? Which made Buck want to fight even harder to save him. And Buck was really trying hard to save this man. I mean, he was trying to pull that tank off of him by himself. I was like, Buck, I don't know how you think you're going to lift that tank by yourself, sir. I don't know. Your whole weight will not shift that tank. I don't know what you think. All right. He sends out, you know, a radio call for help, and they send in a crew to save him. Okay. And he was just about to give up. The fire was getting closer. The man had passed out. He, you know, we didn't know what was going on. I thought that man had died. And I thought he was about to give up because he thought he was about to die. But the team comes in. They help him get the tanker off the man. The man ends up being okay. And they get Buck outside. And Buck is sitting there talking to Bobby and Hen like, I almost gave up in there. Henrietta says they would never have let him, you know, die in there. They would never have given up on him. Okay. Athena comes over and Bobby is like, you gotta love Buck. Buck, you know, always goes far and beyond, meaning that he saved the last victim. Everybody else was out, but Buck wasn't going to leave until the very last person was saved. And Athena was like, sounds like Buck to me. And he was like, I don't even know what it means anymore to be Buck. Because now he feels like he doesn't even know himself, finding out all of this shit he never knew. And Athena says, I know what it means to be Buck. It means to never give up. And don't you lose that, and don't you forget that. And it helps him realize that he is who he is regardless of what the story is. And now that he has that knowledge, he should really even more so lean into the person that he already is. Later on, the parents come to talk to him at the station. And they basically tell him that they're proud of him because he is doing exactly what he was born to do, which is save someone. And he does that every day. And when that shit was said by that mama, out of all the people, I could have burst into tears, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie, because I was like, you know, I just had like kind of a aha moment of my own about, you know, when you walk in your purpose, what that means for you. You know, when you feel like you've been set up to do something your whole life, and you finally realize, looking back on it all, that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you are where you are. People tell you that all the time, but when you have that realization for yourself, it is a game changer as far as I'm concerned, okay? About how you feel about yourself and how you move through the world and how other people relate to you when they see that energy shift. So for me, this was just such a huge moment, okay? Because Buck realized that at the end of the day, he's still who he was supposed to be this whole time. Yeah, he wasn't able to save Daniel, but his whole life experience forced him to constantly try to save everybody else. And he didn't even know that. He didn't even know that he was born just to save his brother. He has no idea about that in his entire life. What has he been doing? Saving people all over the place. Everything. His parents, you know, detaching from him. Him not being scared to hurt himself because he wanted that attention so bad. All of that has made Buck the person that saved somebody's life. And that shit really makes you put into perspective how sometimes we feel like we get fucked up parents, or we get parents that, you know, we shouldn't have got. But ultimately, sometimes those things make us become the people that we are meant to be, so that we can be of service to the world. And that is, you know what I'm saying? Like that's definitely Buck's situation. So yeah, I was here for it all. I was here for it all. So Chimney talks to Buck and tells him that he needs to forgive Maddie. Buck says that, you know, it's easy to forgive his parents because he never really expected anything of them. But it really hurts knowing that Maddie kept something like that from him their entire lives. And he's still mad about her not showing up to leave with him, you know, when she gave him the Jeep and the money. And so Chimney is like, obviously, I know more about that story than you do. I think that Doug must have found out that Maddie was trying to leave, and he beat the shit out of her. I mean, she was in the hospital with blood and shit all over her face. And he was like, you should have left with your brother. And she was like, after what Doug just said and did, I think it's best that I let my brother go on his own. You know what I'm saying? So Buck goes over there to talk to Maddie. And he admits that he needs to forgive her, but it was harder because of what she is to him. More than just a sister, also a mother figure. So he asked, you know, do I even have one of these baby boxes, you know, that Maddie had, this, you know, wooden baby box her parents gave to her for her baby. And she was like, you don't have a box, but she kept things. She kept pictures and mementos from when he was a baby. And they go through all of the moments where it was just the two of them and what they've been for one another their entire lives, you guys. And it really is a mother, son, sister, brother situation. It really, really is. And it's crazy because some people don't even have that. Some people don't even have that one person. And if they have that one person was taken from them. You know, all of that type of shit. So yeah, y'all, it was beautiful. It was beautiful at the end. I got emotional. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the review. I love 911. It's such a good show. I'm actually super duper excited because last night I saw both of my god sisters, Samantha Boye, who executive produces and writes for 911. I saw her name on the screen. And then on Queen Sugar, I saw her sister, Samantha's name on the screen because she had like a little part in that episode. So if you guys watch my Queen Sugar review, y'all will see me talk about that as well. It was really cool, you know, to see the people I know and, you know, my people, you know, popping on TV all over the place or just in general. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. 504 girl. What? Stupid ass. Anyway, I love you guys and I'll see y'all in the next one.